a high five, but wait. Because if you do a normal high five, you are in fact being currently 18th century, as I have been told. So when one does a high five now, one either does a bump or the high five gesture, but must follow it with phew. And you can be as creative as you like with the phew. Okay, now that is spelled F-S-C-H-E-W. That's as best I can get it. We are going to talk about a lot of F words today, okay, that's so you can remember them. And so let's go. High five and phew. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. High five. Phew. High five. Phew. Nice. Very creative, some of you. Very good. See, that's to tell them they're a spirit igniter. Now, quick, come back. Come on back. So we're going back to what we're focusing on. Come on back. So you are going back home and you are going to start focusing on everything that's right. And you're going to show everybody at work that video, First World Problems. It's just from YouTube and it's literally an iPhone ad. And it had 9 million hits so far. And then I want you all to get a plastic bag and put in it the 3 ingredients of the First World Survival Kit. And you're going to have one at home and one at work. And whenever you have staff meetings, you have it on the desk. Now, don't just put it on the desk, because if they're looking at a plastic bag full of a straw, a picture of a bridge, and a cup with a lid, they're going, oh, what's that? You've got to show them the video. And then the second anybody starts to complain about anything, you know, in a whiny sort of a complaint, you just hold out the plastic bag and say, which one would you like? See, humans operate on symbols. You can stand there forever going blah, 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 blah. And people don't get it. You've got to give them symbols. Wayne can do it because he touches your heart so deeply and he changes the environment in the room. Schmucks like us can't. So we have to use other stuff. And symbols work. So if you're looking at somebody and they're whining and moaning about something, this is the most brilliant symbol for build a bridge and get over it. You just go. Now look cute, because if you don't look cute and you go, they'll punch you. So you have to make it cute, build a bridge, get over it. It's on the count of 3, one side, then the other. You're going to look cute, smile, say nothing, sigh, and 1, 2, 3, go. Now this one, come back. This one is very useful on a mini scale. Now, if you're with somebody who's going on and on and on about something and you can't shift them, but you're feeling your blood pressure rising because the relationship with yourself is so important, you've got to keep yourself in a good state. So watch my finger. You can be talking to somebody, they're driving you insane, you realize you're about to go insane, and all you do is this, watch the finger. And if that doesn't work, you go like this. See, no one knows what you're doing, but you're busting your own stress. It's really important. And, you know, you can look at it and go, well, that's a bit simple. Like, isn't there more to it than that? No, nothing more to it. Just build a bridge, get over it, really. If you think about the principle, it's extremely difficult to do. It's all about letting go. It's a profound concept in a very simple gesture. But it reminds people, stop it. Just stop it. And get over it. Look at your joy buddy on the count of 3 and go, stop it. Stop it. 1, 2, 3, go. Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Most of the stuff we're doing, come back. Most of the stuff we're doing, we can just stop. And you know, the straw, it's a useful one. Carry a straw in your bag. You never know when it'll come in handy, especially with your children. Now, with the shut the full cup, you need to practice saying it before you try. And practice it quite a lot, because it is easy to mess that one up. And the gesture for this one, once everybody understands it, is just... and look cute. See, you get away with stuff when you look cute. And if you just make everybody realize what we are bitching and moaning and complaining about is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I guarantee that there'll be one. There won't be many in this group, but there'll be someone who'll complain about something. And really, slap yourself. You come to this place, it's not like the organisers spend their days going, oh, let's mess this up for them and then let's screw that up and let's make it a miserable experience for them. How can we do that? They work their I don't know how you say it in America, arses, thanks. They work their arses off to work really hard and make it wonderful for you. And then there'll be someone who's going, oh yeah, we had to walk 4 feet. Ran out of food, or it was spicy food, and I didn't like it. And just stop it and start to focus on what's right. You're doing the black dots. Everybody sits there and goes, oh, look at that, the black dot, and the black dot, and another black dot. And do you know the single most important thing in life, the single most important thing in life, above everything else, is how you feel about yourself. The single most important thing in life is how you feel about yourself, which is a simple way of saying a lot of the stuff Wayne said. If you actually loved yourself and really understood and got you were God, I'm including myself in this sentence, I have to tell you, then life would be very different, wouldn't it? Now think about this. So you all know that we're spiritual beings inside a temple, yes? So you got prepped for that. Most people go, no. But you're prepped for it after this morning. We are. Have you ever read The Diving Bell and the Butterfly? Anybody read that? Only a couple of people. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly is a book about a man who had locked-in syndrome. Locked-in syndrome is when you have a catastrophic, my background, by the way, is physical therapy, psychology, neurolinguistics, and ergonomics. Did you get that? So, anyway, locked-in syndrome, they have a catastrophic brain event, and the whole body is completely paralysed. So most people think that you're brain dead as well. This particular man, in fact, could move his eyelids, so he could blink. And it wasn't until he had been what they called comatose for, I think, about 2 months, that a woman who used to sit with him noticed there was a pattern to him blinking. He was, in fact, alive and well inside that body. He heard everything they said. He responded and reacted emotionally to everything that was going on. He knew what was going on. Finally, this woman sat with him and she went through every letter of the alphabet to create the word. And it came out in this book, quite a short book, but it was an enormous amount of effort to write the book. You are an amazing spiritual being of light inside this temple. And anybody sitting there, no, mine's not a temple. Yes, it is. Think about what happens if you don't have it. You're stuffed, as we'd say in Australia. Yeah, you know, we really need this to help us perceive everything that's going on. But to truly see, to see with a true heart needs the heart. We have to see with our spirit. And so, you've all been in love, haven't you? And if you haven't, think of a movie. So, it seems to me that people start about 12 these days, and they start looking for their true love. And they start looking, and one day they go, oh, you're it. You're it. Oh my God, I can't believe I found you. You're everything I've ever wanted. Oh my God, you're perfect. I think I did it. I'm so happy. Now, when we have two people looking at each other like that, because they're both doing it, one's going, oh, you're so perfect, and the other goes, oh, you're so perfect. What's life like? Perfect. You know, all of a sudden, things that were massive issues in your life, you just look at and go, oh, that's cute. People who were formerly assholes, you look at and go, oh, you're so lovely. You know, everything changes. And do you know why? It's not because you're in love with someone else and that they are in love with you. It's because at that time you fall in love with yourself. And because you see yourself in your true, astonishing nature, everything is fantastic. So, on the count of 3, look at your joy buddy one side, then the other, and say, you are an astonishing being of light. B-E-I-N-G. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. You are an astonishing being of light. You are an astonishing being of light. Okay, quick. That's all you had to say. Come on back, come on back. So, here we are. We're actually in love with ourselves, right? Now, scientifically, we know that this phase lasts about 12 to 18 months. And because we're human, if you like, imagine we're split in two, okay? And on the front is the astonishing spiritual nature. And on the back are the warts. These are all the warts that we've got because we're human. We're all human. We've all got warts. That's why we come to Earth, to develop the warts, learn and grow about the warts. And you come into a relationship so somebody can point out your warts so you can grow and develop and get over the warts. My husband is fantastic at it. He's brilliant. He can spot a wart from 1,000,000 miles. Anyway, so what happens? 12 to 18 months, it's all fabulous. And then one or the other turns around. And the other one goes, hey, look at those warts. And you go, oh, you got warts too. But the worst thing that happens is we start to see our own warts. And we go, oh no, I've got warts. And then what do? We don't focus on what's right. We start to go, I've got warts. I'm just a giant wart. Nobody will want me because I'm a wart. I'm just warts everywhere, just a wart, 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 wart. And then we repeat the whole cycle again. We go through this deep phase of depression, we might learn a few things, we might grow and develop, and then we go do it again, then we fall in love, and we don't realise that we're in love with ourselves. So that's why it's so important what Wayne was saying, to learn to love ourselves. Because it is the most important thing in life. Because when you love yourself, and you feel good about yourself, what does that let you do with everyone else? Make them feel good about themselves. What do you think the number one thing that people want is? Number one thing they want. It's not love. It's a form of it. Who said sex? No. It's recognition and acknowledgement. Recognition. And those of you who are leaders in the room, that should have been like, blah, off your tongue, first thing. You must understand the number one thing that people want is recognition and acknowledgement. You can never give them enough recognition and acknowledgement because people are riddled with these 3 core fears. These are the 3 core fears that underpin how you feel about yourself and destroy the self-love. The first is, I am not worth loving. And most women get that one. And it's doubled up for most men with, I am not good enough. Here's the bad news. These are embedded by the time we're 5. In Bruce Lipton's video, I knew this, but I got the scientific reasoning behind it with Bruce Lipton's video. Up to the age of about 7, children's brain waves only operate in theta and alpha. That means they're basically hypnotized the entire time. So any word, any action, any phrase that happens around them goes wham, straight into their subconscious. And 5% of the time, when we're conscious, we can live from the conscious memory. 95% of the time, we're operating from these fears. So I don't know anybody else who's put these 3 fears in one place. So when you walk away from here, look deep, search hard to see if these are actually functioning in your lives. I didn't know this. Like, I'm 60 now. I didn't find this out till I was about 53. And basically what had happened, because nobody taught me this stuff, my mum, I told you my mum had died. Well, a year after she died, I get a letter from this man. And she told me to find this man in Canada sometime, but he really wasn't that interested in talking to me. But I get a letter from this man, whom I've never met, and it's like 6 pages long telling me how my mum, I should tell you, I grew up in India till I was 5. And my father was an alcoholic / tea plantation manager, but mostly alcoholic, really. And when I was, and so I get this letter from this man who tells me that my mum had gone to England for a year when I was little. And I've no memory whatsoever. I thought I had a perfect childhood. You know, I was the favourite child. You know how you know when they're the favourite child? You know? Any of you know you were the favourite child? There you go. Any of you know you weren't the favourite child? Oh, look, that's everybody in the room. And here we kid ourselves with our children that they don't know, you know, we don't let them know they're the favourite. Are you joking? They so know who's the favourite and who's not the favourite. You can't hide it. So you better not have a favourite, or you better go home and suck up to the others, because they know. Anyway, so I thought I had this perfect childhood, and when they came back from India when I was 5, divorce was unheard of. Nobody divorced back then. So Mum was brilliant, I think. She said, there's not enough room in our house for Daddy. Now, I was 5. Made sense to me. I'd go to school and the kids would go, where's your daddy? And I'd go, oh, there's not enough room in our house for Daddy. And they'd go, oh, okay, let's play. No drama over divorce, no nothing. It's just we didn't have enough room. Do you know our house, seriously? Our house is now a wedding reception centre. It's so big. Anyway, so she told us this, and I find out afterwards that she had been away for a year when I was about 3. It's the best I can work out. I was 3, because she never told me while she was alive. And my brother who was a year younger, he doesn't have any memory of it either. But what I found out was that when she had gone, the old alcoholic father did things that he shouldn't have done. And it was all repressed, and I didn't go and do anything major or dramatic. But there were patterns in my life that kept recurring. And you know, as Wayne was saying, we're living lives of habits and patterns ruled unconsciously by fear. We're all living lives of habits and patterns ruled unconsciously by fear. And that's why we have to wake up. That's why we have to become conscious. Because if we don't get conscious, our lives will just be one big habit and pattern ruled by these fears. So as I was going through, you know, therapy and trying to search out and work out what had happened and how it had affected me, I discovered these. And you are worth loving. And you are good enough. No matter what you were told as a child. And you know, 1 in 3 people are sexually abused these days. And I went to visit a friend of mine in Vermont. Just as I was finding this out, and I wasn't quite sure, you know, because I couldn't remember, and I couldn't remember anything about my childhood, and I didn't know if the seeds had just been planted, but I was telling them about it. Well, in the middle of it, I burst into tears, and I'm sobbing. And Kathy, who's my friend, who's in the book, she very wise. She grabbed me by the shoulders. She looked at me deep in the eye, and she said, what happened to you as a child was not your fault. What happened to you as a child, it was not your fault. And that was a turning point for me, because I had no idea I had all those emotions inside, but it was a turning point. And I say it because somebody in the room needs to hear it. But anyway, this is the first one. You are worth loving. Turn to your joy buddy on the count of 3 and go, you are so worth... Oh, wait. If you're next to a bloke, man, you know, in Australian, if you're next to a bloke, say to him, you are good enough. And if you're next to a girl, go, you are worth loving. Okay? Try to say it with meaning, though. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. That's nice. Did he say the whole thing? You're not good enough. You naughty person. Now say that to him again. Okay, come on back. Quick. It was the language barrier. Oh. See, I am... Oh, Chris, don't look at that. Okay, so the second big fear is I'm unsafe in some way. Now, when you've been abused, that's usually the core fear. I got the trifecta, but unsafe, because he was an alcoholic, Any of you who are adult children of alcoholics will most likely have something like this, because you never know what sort of mood your parent's going to be in or that person's going to be in. So you're constantly on red alert. Now the upside is, focusing on what's right, is it makes you brilliant at rapport. Because you can get anybody happy anywhere, anytime. Makes you very good at rapport. And then the third thing that's the big fear is death, abandonment, and that says abandonment, I haven't got time, or separation. That says separation, okay? So death, abandonment, or separation. These are the core 3 fears. Now, if you do nothing else from today, then remember these and go home and check them out. And check your children to see if they haven't. Talk out loud to your children. See, no parent wakes up in the morning and thinks, how can I destroy my child's life today? It just happens automatically. So, you know, and it happens because you're not 100% conscious the entire time, and also because you are dealing with a toddler's perception. We think toddlers understand. No. They haven't got the capacity to rationalise. So do you know there was a woman who's 25 seeing a therapist because her mother didn't love her. You know where it started? She's 5. She's out with her sister who's like 4 and the mother. The mother's only got 1 lollipop. She gives it to the 4-year-old and says to the 5-year-old, darling, mummy doesn't have a lollipop with her, but she'll give you one as soon as she gets home. It's a toddler. She can't rationalise. She doesn't know that's going on. So from that day forth, she didn't think her mother loved her. We're all like that, though. When we were toddlers, we're all like that. We don't have the capacity to be rational. And yet we talk to these toddlers as if they're rational adults. Oh, I'll just have a bit of a conversation with my 5-year-old because, you know, we're going to communicate here. Forget it. They're in theta and alpha. You just have to constantly tell them how fantastic they are, basically. And you love them, not their behaviour. I love you and this behaviour is unacceptable. You can't even say, I love you, but. Do you understand the difference between and but? Because everything you say after the word but, or before the word but, is negated. So you have to say, I love you and this behaviour is unacceptable. That's the only way they're going to get through. So go home and I don't care if they're teenagers, I don't care if you have grandchildren, you talk about these things out loud and you say how they are worth loving. Everyone is worth loving. Everybody is lovable. Every child you see that's troubled, all the people, the young kids that come on those PSI courses that they do that are so amazing, they're going to be children who never were told they were loved, who don't feel good enough. And the only way, and they don't feel safe either because half of them weren't safe, and they're terrified of being abandoned or separated, so they come out fighting. Does that make sense? So make sure that you address all of these because it's really critical. But then if we go back to the number one thing that people want, which is recognition and acknowledgement, I'm going to share with you 2 ways where you can recognize and acknowledge people that makes them feel fantastic, cost nothing. So the first comes from the Wiggles. You know the Wiggles? You know how they go like this? I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want to say yes or excellent? How many for yes? Quick. How many for excellent? How many want me to vaporize immediately? Okay, so on the count of 3, you're going to look at your joy buddy on one side then the other. You're going to muster up every ounce of enthusiasm that you can, despite the fact it's the afternoon after lunch. And you are going to look at them. And you know, you're a pretty enthusiastic group. But for you guys to be here doing what you're doing, you've given up a week of your lives to come and be better people. So that alone deserves enormous amounts of acknowledgement and recognition. So you're going to say, yes, and then excellent. Okay, isn't this fun? 1, limber up those thumbs. 2, 3, go. Yes, and excellent. Nice. Nice. Good job, you guys. Awesome. Okay, now the second technique comes from Wisconsin. Now, how many from Wisconsin? Anyone? Anyone from Wisconsin? Oh, one. You might know Roger. Oh, and over there, you might know Roger as well. Roger came up to me after a conference, and he's telling me about his sister. And his sister's got this little 4-year-old boy, and the boy looks up at Uncle Roger and he says, Uncle Roger, will you come and watch me in my gymnastics competition? And Roger says, what are you going to be doing? Therein, by the way, lies another difference between men and women. If a woman has a 4-year-old looking at her saying, will you come and what would the woman do? Oh, yes, of course I will. Yes, 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 yes. No, not Roger. He looks at him and says, what are you going to be doing? Now, obviously, that's man speak because the kid understood. And he says, ta-das. And Roger thinks, what's that? So he goes along to watch. Well, the little boy's on a balance beam. Excuse me. And it's about 1 inch off the ground because he's 4. And he goes like this. And he gets to the end and he jumps off and he says, ta-da! And to a 4-year-old, that's what gymnastics is. And so, you know, I write a monthly email newsletter. And it's free, you can sign up for it on my website. And I thought, oh, this is a great idea for the newsletter. When a little kid goes ta-da, what do grown-ups do? Yay! Recognition and acknowledgement. How smart are little kids? As soon as you do that, how often do they start doing ta-das? All over the shop, aren't they? In fact, the only way you get them to eat, ta-da, mouthful, ta-da, okay. You know? And so I realised that about age 8, it becomes uncool to do ta-das. But I realised on the inside, we are closet ta-darists. We are doing ta-das, silent ta-das on the inside. Whenever we do anything good, we are doing silent. Like, I bet this has happened to you. You guys have finished a PSI seminar, 3-4 days. You walk in the door at night and go, well, I've done it. We finished. On the inside, what are you doing? Ta-da! Now, no one has taught you or your family that people do silent ta-das. So your family is sitting there, they see you come in the door and they go, yeah, well, thank goodness, because it's been tough here by myself. I've been managing everything. Children have been dreadful. I'm jolly glad you're back. Going away on these weekends. Now, when that happens, what happens to your ta-da? It's like, ta-da. See, you've got to see people silent ta-das. They are all doing them all over the place. Your kids, your teenagers even, everybody at work. I don't know, if you're a dentist and some assistant comes in and says, well, I've just finished sterilising everything. Yeah, they're going ta-da on the inside. And we go, yeah, that's good, that's part of your job. They walk away going, I hate my boss. I hate my... You've got to see this. You're dealing with toddlers in grown-up bodies. You just have to understand that. And when you understand you're dealing with toddlers in grown-up bodies who all want the recognition all the time, it's really important. So, on the count of 3, you are going to carefully leap out of your chairs. You are going to do a ta-da. That is an accumulation of all the ta-das you've wanted to do since you were 8. And you are going to go berserk, going ta-da! And then yes, one side, and then ta-da! Excellent, the other side. Is this fun? 1, 2, 3, go. Ta-da! Yes! Ta-da! Excellent! Awesome! Okay. Awesome. Quick. And we got one more little bit to do and then we'll do the break. And you can do more ta-das outside, right? But this is the one you can do outside. So it isn't always possible to do the big ta-das. But seriously, go back to work and create a ta-da culture. Because when you create a ta-da, I don't know, nominate people for a monthly ta-da award. You don't have to give them much. Just give them a block of chocolate or something healthy without gluten. And then at the end of the year, have a big ta-da award and, I don't know, send them to Paris or something. But make sure that you encourage people to be nominating others for doing things that deserve ta-das. And then what you can do on a day-to-day basis is the mini ta-da. Because I like to practice what I preach. And at the time, this is 100 years ago, I had this experience with Roger, and I had Summer, who was my PA, and she's 23. So I walked into the office one day, and I travelled all the time, so I was hardly ever in the office. And I thought, I must acknowledge Summer more. So I walk in the office, and she does something, and I think, oh, here's my chance. Summer, I think that deserves a ta-da. She could not help herself. She's 23. She just finished typing up the letter, so she knew exactly what I was doing because she just typed up the newsletter. She couldn't help herself. She looked at me and she went, oh, ta-da. People can't help themselves. So, on the count of 3, you're going to look at your joy buddy, one side, then the other, going, I think that deserves a ta-da, ta-da. Yes, I think that deserves a ta-da, ta-da. Excellent. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. I think that deserves a ta-da, ta-da. Yes, I think that deserves a ta-da, ta-da. Excellent.